Life is a constant mystery, and we never know how far the person we love will walk with us. Udo Sato made a profound analogy. Life is like a train journey, where each person can only accompany us to a certain station. When they have to get off, it is essential that we be grateful for the moments shared. If someone stays by our side throughout the journey, that is a rare and precious gift. Having a faithful partner in youth and old age is a true blessing, but not all love is destined to last forever. Some partners leave prematurely due to illness or tragedy, and when this happens, the feeling of emptiness can be overwhelming, as if life itself has lost its foundation. Even in the midst of pain and sadness, time does not stand still, and the deceased will not return. When a spouse leaves, it is crucial to find the strength to recover and continue living fully. In this context, 3 people who have faced such losses share their stories with wisdom and generosity. They offer 3 fundamental guidelines for those going through similar times, showing how it is possible to live a dignified and comfortable life, even in your later years. If you are dealing with the loss of a loved one, these lessons can illuminate your path and help you find peace and renewal. Before we get to the inspiring and transformative stories that share valuable lessons on how to cope with loss and find new purpose, I would like to invite you to connect even more with wise and transformative Buddhism. If you are looking for wisdom to transform your life and face challenges with a new perspective, this is the right place for you. Like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future stories and teachings. By subscribing, you become part of a community dedicated to spiritual growth and personal transformation. Let's go on this journey of wisdom and self-discovery together. Click the like button and subscribe now to begin this transformation. Lesson number 1. Free yourself from excessive sadness. Discover how to face and overcome emotional challenges. When a partner who has been by your side for many years passes away, the void they leave behind is colossal and nearly impossible to fill. Mei Lin, a 67-year-old woman, shares her experience with a heartbreaking honesty that resonates deeply with those who have faced similar losses. After the death of her beloved husband, Hiroshi, Mei Lin describes a period of her life as one devoid of color and purpose, a dark time when she felt like a walking corpse. The pain was so intense and overwhelming that in moments of despair, she often wished to join Hiroshi in death, believing that this would be the only way to find true peace. During this dark and endless period, Mei Lin would spend hours introspective, looking at the old photos that lined the walls of her home and the shelves of her bookshelves. These photos captured smiles and moments of shared happiness, a vivid portrait of what life with Hiroshi had been like. Each image was a painful reminder of the past, of a time when life had seemed fuller and more colorful. The house, once full of life and laughter, felt deeply silent, almost oppressive, without the constant and loving presence of her husband. The loneliness was palpable, and many nights, Mei Lin would cry herself to sleep, sitting on the double bed that now felt like an empty space, a dark reflection of her own sadness and helplessness. In the days following Hiroshi's death, Mei Lin struggled with an almost paralyzing sense of loss. Her routine was transformed into a series of repetitive, empty moments in which Hiroshi's presence seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The house, which had once been a warm and vibrant home, became a place of memory and mourning. Every corner, every object seemed to carry the weight of his absence. Things that had once been simple and ordinary now seemed burdened with irreparable pain. Mei Lin began to feel disconnected from everything around her, as if she were living in a world that continued to spin but in which she no longer had a part. But even in the midst of this overwhelming grief and feeling of helplessness, Mei Lin found a glimmer of clarity. She realized, almost as if in a revelation, that Hiroshi would not have wanted her to be completely lost in grief. Remembering the laughter and happiness they had shared, she began to understand that her husband would have wanted her to continue living, despite the immense hardship and profound pain. Tears and mourning could not bring Hiroshi back, and wallowing in unrelenting grief would only perpetuate the suffering and loss. It was at this point of clarity that Mei Lin began to glimpse a way to move forward, honoring Hiroshi's memory in a way that would also allow her to find new purpose and meaning in her own life. Determined not to let Hiroshi's memory be overshadowed by grief and mourning, Mei Lin made a conscious effort to change her perspective and her approach to life. She began to look for the small joys in everyday activities that had often gone unnoticed before. Rediscovering hobbies that had been neglected due to responsibilities and the routine of everyday life became an important part of her journey to recovery. Reading books, painting, and walking in the park were activities that gradually began to bring a new light to her days. Additionally, Mei Lin sought ways to reconnect with others. Spending time with friends and family, who were a crucial support network during this time, helped to ease her grief and provide a sense of community and belonging. She began exploring new activities and engaging in projects that not only distracted her but also inspired her. Participating in volunteer groups and community activities helped Mei Lin feel like she was contributing to something bigger than herself, which gave her a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. Self-care also became a key priority for Mei Lin. She began to take time for herself in ways she hadn't been able to before, whether through meditation practices, regular exercise, or simply taking time to relax and reflect. This self-care not only helped improve her physical and mental well-being, but also strengthened her emotional resilience. Mei Lin learned that while the pain of loss never completely disappears, moments of joy and meaning can be found even in the absence of those we love. Through her journey, she discovered that by allowing herself to feel the sadness and grief, but also actively seeking happiness and purpose, she could create a new chapter in her life, one that not only honored Hiroshi's memory, but also celebrated the life she still had ahead of her. In facing the challenges and hardships that came with losing Hiroshi, Mei Lin found a way to transform her grief into a lasting tribute to the love she shared with him. Rather than allowing her grief to define her, she chose to use her experience to seek new meaning and a new way of living, one that honored the past but also embraced the future with hope and renewal. Through her journey, Mei Lin became an example of how it is possible to find inner peace and happiness even after the most profound losses, and how it is possible to continue living with dignity and purpose, honoring those we love and celebrating the life we still have. Lesson number 2: don't depend too much on your children. After the loss of a spouse, it is natural to seek comfort and companionship in children and other close loved ones. For many, this closeness seems like a practical solution to cope with the pain of grief and reconnect with everyday life. However, relying too heavily on children can bring unexpected challenges, a reality that Mrs. Aiko, 65, experienced in a profound and unexpected way. When her beloved husband, Kenji, passed away, Aiko found herself enveloped in an overwhelming void, a feeling of loss that seemed impossible to overcome. The world, which had once seemed full of color and meaning, was now shrouded in a blanket of sadness and loneliness. In search of relief and stability, Aiko made the decision to move in with her daughter, Yumi. The move seemed like a practical and comforting solution, a way to be closer to her family and find solace in the company of her newborn granddaughter. At first, moving to Yumi's home seemed like a relief for Aiko. Yumi and her husband, Takashi, welcomed her with great warmth and hospitality. Aiko was grateful to have a safe place to stay and to be near her young granddaughter, a symbol of continuity and love. The warmth and generosity of the initial welcome created the impression that living together would be beneficial for all, a way for Aiko to find her feet after her devastating loss. However, as the months passed, living together in close proximity revealed challenges that Aiko had not anticipated. Differences in lifestyle between generations began to manifest themselves in unexpected ways. Yumi and Takashi were adjusting their routines and expectations to accommodate Aiko's presence. What initially seemed like a gesture of kindness began to create subtle tensions that, over time, became more apparent. Aiko realized that although her intentions were to contribute and help, her constant presence sometimes felt like a burden, especially given the fast pace and demands of modern life that the family faced. Aiko's presence, which was supposed to be a comfort, began to create a complex dynamic within the household. The family struggled to balance the need to be there for their mother and grandmother with their own responsibilities and concerns. Small differences of opinion and expectations about how the household should be run began to lead to arguments and disagreements. What had once seemed like a solution to Aiko's grief became a source of conflict and discomfort. Aiko began to feel like an outsider rather than a cherished and integrated member of the family. She found that her role in Yumi's life and in the family dynamic was changing in ways she had neither anticipated nor desired. It was then that Aiko had a significant epiphany. She realized that by continuing to rely on her children to fill the void in her life, she was inadvertently putting additional pressure on them and on her own recovery. Rather than wallow in grief and dependence, Aiko decided to explore her own passions and interests, ones that had been neglected over the years. Recalling old dreams and skills that had been neglected, Aiko enrolled in calligraphy and painting classes, two hobbies that had always fascinated her and that she had neglected in favor of family responsibilities. She found that by devoting time to these activities, she was rediscovering parts of herself that had been buried under the routine of family life and grief. Calligraphy and painting were not only a form of creative expression, but also a way to reconnect with her own identity and values. As Aiko immersed herself in these new activities, she began to build a new routine and a new sense of purpose. Calligraphy and painting classes gave her a sense of fulfillment and personal satisfaction that did not depend on the constant presence of her children. Connecting with new friends and exploring new interests helped her find a new purpose and joy in life, one that was not tied to the weight of grief and loss. Through this journey of self-discovery and renewal, Aiko learned that loneliness did not have to be a state of helplessness. Instead, it could be an opportunity for personal growth and exploration of new dimensions of her life. She realized that by investing in her own interests and finding ways to connect with herself, she could find the peace and fulfillment she sought without burdening her children with additional expectations and responsibilities. This transformation not only helped Aiko cope with her grief in a healthier way, but it also strengthened her relationships with her family. By focusing on her own happiness and fulfillment, she became a more balanced and fulfilled version of herself. Loneliness, when approached with a positive and proactive mindset, can transform into an opportunity for renewal and joy, allowing each individual to find new purpose and a new way of living. Aiko's journey is a powerful testament to how self-discovery and self-investment can be valuable tools for coping with grief and loss. By creating a new narrative for her life, Aiko not only honored Kenji's memory, but also built a future that celebrates her own resilience and ability to find happiness in the midst of adversity. Her story is an inspiration to all who struggle with the pain of loss and seek a path to renewal and fulfillment. Lesson number 3, give it time. Don't rush to find a new partner. Finding a new partner after the loss of a spouse is a common desire, but especially in old age, this decision can bring unexpected complications. Ms. Li Hua, 62, shares her personal experience of 2 marriages, offering valuable insight into the complexities and challenges that can arise when seeking a new relationship. After the death of her first husband, Wei, Li Hua felt deeply alone. The grief and pain were immense, and the idea of finding someone to fill that void seemed comforting. She met Ming, a kind and friendly man, through mutual friends. The new relationship offered Li Hua a sense of hope and renewal, and they soon decided to get married. Initially, the new marriage brought joy and a sense of companionship that Li Hua had missed. However, as time went on, unexpected challenges began to arise. Ming, although a kind-hearted person, had a lifestyle and expectations that were very different from Li Hua's. They discovered that their routines, habits, and even values did not align as well as they had imagined. The biggest challenge arose when Ming's children, now adults with families of their own, began to interfere in the couple's lives. They had their own opinions about how their father should live and interact with Li Hua. Their constant presence and opinions created tensions that Li Hua had not anticipated. She felt that her privacy was being invaded, and that Ming's problems with her family were becoming her problems as well. The situation was compounded by financial and practical issues. Li Hua and Ming had different approaches to money and household management. While Li Hua was careful and conservative, Ming had a more relaxed attitude, which led to conflicts over how to manage their finances and maintain the household. These disagreements became constant sources of stress and misunderstanding. In addition, Li Hua found herself repeating patterns from the past. She began to question whether her search for a new partner was motivated by a genuine need for companionship or by the pressure to fill the void left by the loss of Wei. On reflection, Li Hua realized that despite her good intentions, her second marriage brought with it a series of challenges that she was not prepared to face. After a period of introspection, Li Hua decided it was time to reevaluate her priorities and her own well-being. She spoke openly with Ming about the difficulties they were facing, and after a series of difficult discussions, they decided to separate. The decision was painful, but Li Hua felt it was the best choice for her peace of mind and long-term happiness. Now, Li Hua is learning to appreciate life on her own. She has discovered that instead of seeking a new relationship to fill the void, she can find fulfillment and joy in her own activities and interests. She has returned to hobbies she had abandoned, such as gardening and reading, and has come to value the time she spends alone. Li Hua has also reconnected with old friends and made new connections that have enriched her life. Li Hua's experience highlights the importance of not rushing into finding a new partner after the loss of a spouse. Sometimes, living alone can offer more peace and fulfillment than facing the additional complications that a new relationship can bring. Embracing loneliness and investing in yourself can make old age a rich and rewarding time, full of new discoveries and joys. In short, life is short and full of ups and downs. Embracing loneliness, taking care of yourself, and finding joy in new interests can make old age richer and more meaningful. Refusing to suffer excessively, relying on children, and rushing to find a new partner can help build a happier and more meaningful final life. The stories of Mei Lin, Aiko, and Li Hua show how it is possible to find light even in the darkest situations. Mei Lin teaches us that despite the overwhelming pain of loss, we can find a new way to live and honor the memory of those we love. Aiko reveals that by investing in our own interests and passions, we can transform loneliness into an opportunity for personal growth and renewal. And Li Hua warns us of the importance of not rushing into finding a new partner, emphasizing that true peace and fulfillment often come from finding joy in our own lives and interests. These lessons are an invitation to all of us. When facing loss and change, it is crucial to embrace the pain, but also to seek new ways of living and finding meaning. Life, although short and full of challenges, can be full of new discoveries and joys when we approach loneliness with a positive and proactive mindset. So, have you applied these lessons in your life? Or do you think it has no relevance at all? Leave your opinion in the comments. This is very important to help transform your life and other people's. If you found inspiration and wisdom in these stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Wise and Transformative Buddhism channel. Together, we will continue exploring paths to personal and spiritual transformation, enriching our lives with wisdom and courage. Click the like button and subscribe now, so you don't miss our future stories and teachings. We thank you for your company and hope you find peace and renewal on your own journey.